All right, we are interrupting the broadcast of the interview of the Danish Prime Minister as we are getting live visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is presently in London. Remember, he's on a 3-day visit. He is there to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Governments meeting. And apart from that, he will, of course, also be meeting several other leaders for bilaterals. Now, what we are looking at is the bust of Sri Basaveshwara that has in fact been installed in London. It is very close to the Westminster Abbey, is what we are given to understand, that this bust of Lord Basaveshwara has been installed. Now, Lord Basaveshwara was the 12th century philosopher and reformer from the state of Karnataka. It is, of course, his teachings which led to this sect called the Lingayats being formed, and Lingayats essentially are the followers of Lord Basaveshwara. This bust was installed in 2015 when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had in fact last visited England. So it's an interesting time that this gesture has in fact been forwarded. He is of course paying respects at this important bust that has in fact been installed in London, very closely, to we are given to understand, to the Westminster Abbey. And this is also interesting considering the context of the Karnataka elections, where the Lingayat issue has of course taken centre stage in terms of one of the key issues for the election. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a very symbolic manner there, paying his respects to the Lord Basaveshwara statue in London. Remember, he had inaugurated the installation of this statue along the banks of the River Thames the last time he had been around there. And this is in many ways more symbolic and more for the optics than for a lot of other reasons, because this is something which is essential in terms of how this will pan out even in the Karnataka elections, where the issue of the Lingayats has now taken centre stage. And now Prime Minister Narendra Modi also interacting with some of his fans who have gathered at London to meet him, to take selfies with him, to photograph him, and also to interact him. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of course, has his big flagship event scheduled for later on in the day, where he'll be interacting with members of the Indian diaspora. And presently, these are live visuals that we are getting from London, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just paid tributes to the bust of Lord Basaveshwara that has been installed along the banks of the River Thames. And this is Modi's Lingayat outreach in London. So even when he's abroad, his domestic policy also kept in mind. And considering the fact that the Karnataka elections are less than a month away, and considering as to how crucial these elections in fact are for the BJP to open its account in the southern part of India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sending out a clear message that the issue of the Lingayats is something that he'll focus on very keenly. And he's also interacting with several of his fans who, of course, gathered. And we were earlier discussing about the importance of this significant, unprecedented and historic visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as he's presently in London visiting Britain after Brexit. So in many ways, this is a visit which is going to determine the manner in which Britain and India will engage in the post-Brexit scenario. We're given to understand that as many as 12 memorandum of understanding are expected to be signed between these two nations. Now, these are live visuals that we are in fact getting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is presently in London there. He's just paid his tributes to the Lord Basaveshwara bust that has in fact been installed in London. This was of course done in the year 2015-2016 when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had been in London back then, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi choosing to keep this issue important and alive, considering the fact that the Lingayats are an important community in Karnataka, and it is the Karnataka elections which are forthcoming. So a political message being sent out by Prime Minister Narendra Modi even as he carries out his diplomacy abroad. And post this, he will also be meeting with the British Queen Elizabeth II at the Buckingham Palace, and post that He will also be meeting with several business leaders as well. So he has had a jam-packed day in terms of his schedule. He earlier also met with the British Prime Minister Theresa May, and the two leaders have discussed several issues, trade and investment being key amongst the issues in which India and Britain are seeking greater cooperation with each other. Defence, counter-terrorism, immigration and visas are some of the other issues which the two countries have in fact been carrying out talks for the last few months. And also for more on this, we are joined in by our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark, who's joining us live from London. Well, Mandy, this is another symbolic sort of a gesture that's been done by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's paying his tribute to Lord Basveshwara, and this is one of the busts that was installed during his last visit to England.
Yes, and it was a very quick visit. He came simply just to pay his respects on the day of his birth. A lot of people gathered just to catch a glimpse of Narendra Modi as he came to do this very quick ceremony. It was, as you can see, a lot of people are gathering around the bus. And just really, it has drawn crowds. Every location that Narendra Modi has gone to, whether it's Downing Street or here on the banks of the River Thames, lots of people are just coming just to see him and see him as he goes out and about on his visit to London.
Absolutely indeed. And what else have we got planned for Narendra Modi later on in the day now, immediately after this?
Well, he has a meeting with leaders, business leaders, also scientific leaders from the Indian-British community. He is later on meeting with the Queen at Buckingham Palace. Mm-hmm. And then later on, again, he will be meeting the diaspora. There will be a big gathering where the questions have been taken from the public, whether it's on social media or other platforms. He'll be taking live questions. And it's something that he does quite a bit, really connecting with the Indian diaspora. And after that, he has a dinner with Theresa May. So he is incredibly busy all through the day.
Absolutely indeed. The manner in which he, of course, connects with the Indian diaspora is fairly well known, but also the manner in which he seems to be connecting with the British royalty. We just a little while back saw he and Prince Charles strolling along in the Science Museum in London, and after this particular event at the Basveshwara bust, we expect him to be at the Buckingham Palace. So the royals, the aristocracy in Britain, seems to have opened out its red carpets for the Indian Prime Minister.
Without a doubt. There's a lot of affection for India itself, and the royals have certainly given him a lot of time, and to have him hosting on the Buckingham Palace is certainly an honor, especially to have time with the Queen. It's not an honor that all leaders receive. So he does indeed have the red carpet treatment from the royals, and also he's having two meetings with Theresa May. So parliamentarians are certainly making a lot of time to spend time with the Indian Prime Minister.
Absolutely. And also, Manny, I mean, this is a visit that is followed very, very closely in India. But how is the Indian Prime Minister's visit being perceived there in the British press?
Well, he's recognized as one of the powerhouses leaders. It's being followed the day's events. There's a lot of other leaders who are at the Commonwealth heads of government, but they're simply not getting as much attention as he seems to be getting for his visit.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mandy Clark, for joining us and getting us all those updates. We'll, of course, keep coming back to you as the very busy day of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in London unfolds, and he continues to have more of these events and meetings through the day.